for those of you that know me. I am Barbara, and I'm really excited. So I'm 56, and this is my fifth time applying and making it into Denver Startup Week, particularly for women over 40-50, right? Yes! Yes. And so I want to welcome you for being here, and it's going to be really exciting. I want you to make sure that you come with questions, because if you know anything about a woman over 40, we get real, okay? Especially those of us over 50. So, and I'm going to try not to use an F-bomb. So at any rate, we are here to welcome you, obviously, and she's already said thank you, and thank you to Jake Jab's Center for Entrepreneurship, who was one of my clients back in the day. I'll share that story as we introduce ourselves. Again, we want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, and let's get going. We want to make sure that you understand that this is a session that you will walk away with tried and true tips, some great advice from those of us that have been there, done that through all the ups and downs. We all have started our companies over 40, as we said in the summary. So today, you're going to get insights, you're going to get tips, you're going to get realness, as I said. I'm probably going to hot flash in a moment, so I have my fan, because we talk about menopause within my group. It happens. And then we hope that you also walk away very motivated. Now, my question is, before we move forward, how many of you have started a company? All right. So how many of you are looking to start a company? Okay. How many of you are between 40 and 49? All right. And let me go in the opposite direction for our allies. How many of you are 39 and below? Okay, welcome. We love it. How many of you are 50 to 59? How many of you are over 60? Welcome. This is your community. This is your community. And one of the things I want to do to really get you excited about this session is I call this the Oprah video. This is the reason why my company started in 2018. It's called SecondActWomen, so enjoy this 2-minute video. Woo! I hope that you understand the power that you wield as a woman over 40, 50, 60 plus. It's our time. And right now, before we dive into a few of the stats and then our panel, let's get to know each other. So we got to know a little bit about you. So I will share a little bit more about myself. Again, I'm 56. I'm the mother of a 5-pound pup. Never been married, never had children. I'm happy. I do get lonely at times. I like to be honest about that. My man is out there somewhere. But I am the owner of this company called SecondActWomen, and I started it because in 2018 at 51, I couldn't get hired. And I couldn't understand why, because I was an international award-winning marketing director in the mall industry. Park Meadows Retail Resort was my last position as director of marketing, and I couldn't get hired. So SecondActWomen came about, and here we are today. And the two of us were voted in as recipients of Top 25 Most Powerful Businesswomen this year, class of 2023. And I'm going to move on to you, Janine.
Okay, I'm Janine Vandenberg. I am actually 70, not in my 60s. I had a birthday this year, so we've got to change that.
That's right.
We're supposed to give our hometown. I was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts. I've lived in Colorado for over 40 years, currently in Colorado's North Fork Valley. My company is actually called Encore Roadmap, which I started at age 65, and my first client was Next 50 Initiative and Rose Community Foundation that engaged me to start Changing the Narrative, which is a leading U.S. anti-ageism initiative that last year reached people in all 50 states in the U.S. and 43 countries outside, because ageism and ageism directed against women is a universal issue, which is why starting a business is so important.
Whew. Catherine?
All right, I am Catherine Wells, and my story is a little bit similar to Barbara's in that I had a very successful career as an executive in software companies for 28 years, and then I couldn't find a job, and I was 50. And never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be doing what I'm doing today. I didn't think I was an entrepreneur, but out of necessity, I started a business, and it has become the passion of my life and changed everything in my life. And looking back, I can see that absolutely every little thing I did along the way in my life brought me to do this one thing today.
Yes. Bonnie?
Hello, my name is Bonnie Schatz. I am on Chapter 55, as Barb likes to call
I like
it.
to call them chapters.
I am a corporate dropout. I was 27 years
Ditto.
as an executive assistant, and I just finally had it in the corporate space, and there was no place for me to go. I was supporting the highest level person in the company, and that's kind of how it was across corporate. So I started a side hustle recruiting administrative professionals when I was 45. And from meeting people and networking, I discovered that I wasn't going to make it happen unless I gave it 100%. And so at 47, I said goodbye to corporate and took it 100%. And I'm super happy. My company is Tandem Resource Solutions. It started as an administrative recruiting firm, but quickly boomed into a virtual assistance agency after I started being a VA myself. So now I have VAs 30 across the country that manage my clients, or I say manage because they do manage. They don't assist always. They manage up quite a bit. Super happy and to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And I guess I forgot to say that I am from Colorado Springs. I forgot to give my background. Iffy over there went to Whitefield High School. I'm also a graduate of Golden Green CSU Rams. I know, I was like, whoa. No, that was such a good game. You have to admit, that was a great game. You guys, listen, I'm going to watch the Buffs play this weekend. All right, so listen, we have got to fill you with some information to make it known that you can and you will if you haven't started your company. We are the she-economy in the United States. Women over 21 have started 1,821 businesses a day pre-COVID. Pre-COVID. Can you imagine what that number is today? Well, let me give you another stat. Of that, 1,220 of those businesses were started by us in the United States. So you are in the right place at the right time to start your company. Now we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, age. We kind of talked about how, we started our companies because we couldn't get hired, some of us. Some of you may be starting your companies because you just don't want to work for someone anymore. You want to work for yourself. Maybe ageism didn't come into play at all. And so, Bonnie, I'm going to start with you. From your perspective, how has age and wisdom really gained that you've gained over the years really affected you starting your company in your 40s? Because even though you're in your 50s, you actually started your company in your 40s.
Correct, yeah. No, with age comes confidence. Comes a little, don't give two Fs anymore as I've gotten older. And so I think that has led to my success a bit. Just sitting next to CEOs and C-level executives for so many years, silently taking notes and creating agendas and handing out handouts, it was soaking in. And I didn't realize it until I took the leap and saw how it transferred over into me running my own business. So I think that was what propelled me forward, just knowing what I knew and being the age I was and having worked nearly 3 decades at that point. So, I think that's what got me going.
Well, and on the same topic of age, Janine, let's toss it over to you. Retire or not retire? We both hate the word retire. Please share why. And also, why it's a smart strategy to actually start over 40, 50, 60 plus.
So I think the word retire is stupid. If we look at the French origin, it means basically retreat from the world. And I think the last thing this world needs is for women to retreat from it at any age. So I think we all need to stand up and be out there. Okay, so that's what I have to say about the word retire. Why is it a smart strategy? Well, one, we've already talked about ageism. We know that overall, and this is what I know from my work the last 5 years from changing the narrative, women are disproportionately pushed out of the workforce. We also know know that women, as we get older, are more likely to be economically insecure because we have been paid less over a lifetime. We are more likely to step out of the workforce to caregive for children or older family members. And for women of color, double and triple that, right? So we're more likely to end up in a severe economic condition. And to me, the antidote for that is starting our own business. Now, for me, this was not my first business. I started a company in my 30s when I realized that I am the mother of now 35-year-old and 32-year-old daughter, but I also realized that traditional jobs and being a mother didn't work really well either, and so started my own company for that reason. And then when I decided to leave that to do something different, decided to start this, and I think the reason, as opposed to retiring, is besides ageism, the benefits to us, it gives us meaning and purpose, right? There's a reason to get up in the morning. Many of us, if we leave the workforce, lose our social connection. And then there's also that other, money. I like money at any age, personally. So I think, continuing to have money and have our own money and not be dependent on something else that may or may not exist is really important. So to me, those are reasons to think of a business. And then finally, having more control over your life. I think that's true of entrepreneurship at any point, but especially as we get older, having the flexibility and autonomy we want and not having someone tell us what to do. And as anyone who's ever worked with me knows, I'm not really good at people telling me what to do. So those are my reasons, and I'm sticking to them.
Good reasons, great reasons. I'm curious in the audience, how many of you, speaking of age and ageism, how many of you think you experienced ageism in the workplace? In the workplace. Wow. That's a lot. And it sounds like that might be the reason why you're here. Catherine, you started a tech company. Something, by the way, that they think that we're not good at, tech. What are you kidding me? We're analog natives. If you think about it, who started all of the companies, the tech companies today? They are people that were boomers and Gen Xers. We're analog natives. They may be digital natives, but we were in our rooms playing Pac-Man and Pong on our TV screens with that damn ball going.
We gave them digital.
We gave them digital. And speaking of, and you have a SaaS, a software as a service, but you left great benefits. I don't think you experienced ageism, or did you?
I did.
Why would you do that?
I did, actually. And so my story is a little winding. So I could not find a job after my last one ended. And it was a startup. So I've spent all of my career in between large organizations and startups. In the startup world, I found my way. That was it. I am a person of many hats. I want to be the person who dives in and just get shit done. And not
Some
be
bomb was thrown because I'm going to throw one then.
Not be a cog in the wheel, right? And really know that everything I did that day and everything I did not do that day impacted our business. So I loved the startup world. Well, my last startup that I was with, it wasn't my startup, didn't make it. So I'm looking for a job. My mom has Alzheimer's. I didn't realize that I had already been 5 years as a family caregiver. Once that started setting in and I realized mom had to move to memory care, dad had to move into assisted living, I saw how fractured that process is and how painful it is for the people along the way. So I set out to solve that. That's when I started my company, or thought about starting my company, but that is when I got offered a job. Right then, I'm ready to incorporate. I got offered the best job, best pay, best benefits. I could have done it in my sleep, and I turned it down. And that was my moment. That was really my moment where I said,
balls.
Okay, why am I doing this? Because I can't not do it. That was my reason. I could not do it. From a financial perspective, heck no. My financial advisor was like, you're crazy. I don't know if I can help you anymore. And I said, I'm sorry. I cannot not do this.
Well, and one of the things that I hope that you were recognizing is there's a thread amongst the four of us is, and this is what you have to remind yourself if you haven't started your business yet, and if you have, what is the problem and the solution? We all had problems and solutions that we're solving. So think about what is that unique thing that you were solving that only you can do best. Now, let's talk about, whoa, just skipped ahead. Imposter syndrome. How many of you feel like, and you don't have to raise your hand, imposter syndrome? Yeah, it's the doubting of yourself. It's the, I'm just going to fake it till I make it feeling. You might get hired, you might get that new client, and you say yes to that client, and you're like, oh shit, now I got to do, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do, So there's the doubting of ourselves, there's a lack of confidence, but I will say that the two of us actually hate the word imposter syndrome. And it's not a disease. Syndrome? Are you kidding me? And look it up and you will see there's actually, there's a story how it came about and it had everything to do with bicycling and women and men and how men actually came up with it and so on and so forth. Sorry, allies in the room. Janine.
Our very, very brave gentleman.
Yes, we love you,
Thank
allies
you.
in the room. So let's talk about the feeling of starting a company from scratch. Maybe you have one part of what you're doing is your wheelhouse, virtual assisting, tech, age, things, in those.
Start a company to end ageism, right?
Yeah,
that's
I know.
smart idea.
Smart idea. So how did you go about it? Did you feel lack of confidence at the beginning, during, still? And when you feel that, we won't even call it imposter syndrome, what do you do?
So let's not call it imposter syndrome because I think that's just, there's so many syndromes that are always applied to women, right? We never do the right thing. So there's always a name for it. And I'm just like, reject all of that. That's why I don't like retirement. I don't like imposter syndrome. Right. I have a list of probably 120 things I don't like. And I'm happy to share with anybody who would buy me a glass of wine after Wendy, you're on. Anyway, no, when I started changing the narrative, I remember doing the first training. I was over at the Daniels Fund. There were over 100 people in the room. I'm doing this training on ageism, and I realized that everybody in the room knows a lot more about the topic than I do. But I was like, okay. But so what I'm going to do is turn this into an interactive. So over the last 5 years, I have learned a lot about ageism. I know how to defeat it. I know how to run campaigns that draw attention to it. But I didn't make it up. I just said, okay, a lot of you have been in the, quote, aging field and the aging business for a long time. Mm-hmm. And so I turned it back. I don't think we are well served by doubting ourselves. I think it's like, if we don't try stuff, we never grow. If we only do things we already know how to do, and this is something I used to say in my former company to my mostly female employees. At one time we had 35 employees, and of which 32 were women. Our password was 25 smart women, and we stopped counting after we went past 25 employees. But I was, if we only do the things we've done, we're never going to grow. We're never going to do anything big or different. So
I'm hot flashing.
You go. I am so grateful those years are over. The joys of turning 70, not having to do that anymore. Anyway, we just need to try stuff, and we need to stop letting terms like imposter syndrome get in our heads. It's like, just try it. My favorite, just put your big girl panties on and just, go out there.
Wait, have any of you experienced it? And yeah.
Absolutely. I would say find your posse, find your group of friends who you can call on a moment's notice or text and say, man, I don't think I can do this. Mm-hmm. And that they're going to do nothing but lift you up. We all have those people in our lives who don't lift you up. Ignore them. Get rid of them if you can. If you can't get rid of them, put them in the way back. That is not the voice you need to hear in your head. I have a little bracelet that says, everything I need is within me, and I wear that, and that is the one thing that reminds me when I'm in meetings with people and I'm thinking, oh, I can't do this as well as somebody else, when actually I'm 25 times more qualified than the people that are also trying to do this. So those are the things that remind me that it comes from me. It's not, they don't have any special magic. There's no little pixie dust out there. There's no magic wand that they have that I don't have. I have my own special sauce, and that's my job to bring my special sauce.
Well, and Bonnie, you had something happen in your entrepreneurial journey. I feel like I need to do this so we can see each other. You know? Okay, there we go. That happened along the way that pushed you out of your comfort zone, probably out of feeling uncomfortable, feeling doubtful. What happened?
In the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, I was all gung-ho because I was old enough to know a lot more than a lot of people. And so that was easy. But when I'll say my poser feelings came in instead of imposters, when I felt like a poser, was almost the second stage of my business a few years in, when I started to have to market myself a bit more and spout the language, and that's when I felt a bit like a poser, like who am I to act like I'm an expert in this field? So I had to step into that. But one thing that really took me out of my comfort zone, I will give credit to Barb and SecondActWomen, is she got me on a stage like this. And this is the second time I've ever been in front of an audience. Again, I was always that person, thank you. I was always that person behind the executives, taking notes and doing the things. So that was one thing that happened to me and then I got done that first time so unprepared, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. I looked awful. But I went up
Was
there.
that the time we popped you
Yes,
in?
you
Because we had
subbed me
someone who
in.
didn't show up at our
Yes.
Biz LifeCon conference.
And
we're
I
like,
can't believe I
"Bonnie!"
raised my hand
Yeah.
for it. Like that was that feeling of empowerment. So I'll piggyback on the fact that finding my people really helped. And it was women over 40 that were in the same spot I was. And I was with an audience like this, and I was so comfortable. And then I got off stage and said, Barb, I kind of like that.
And
like
here you are.
Younger me never would have got on stage ever in a million years. But now I'm kind of got the bug, so.
Well, and it's happened to me, and here I am, this almost 6 foot woman who wears, who's like 6'5" practically. You would think that I would have my shit together and I would not feel, the confidence. I wouldn't be overcome with doubting myself, but I do. And when it happens to me, being an entrepreneur will do it, and small business owner. By the way, there's a difference. Google it. There's a difference between an entrepreneur and a small business. I'm now a small business, started as an entrepreneur, as having a big idea.
Do you want to tell us the difference?
I knew you were going to do that.
Sorry.
I explained it at my last conference a year ago, and now I care because usually an entrepreneur, and correct me if I'm wrong, those that might know, is someone who we all have the big idea. So you're kind of in the starting stage and the big idea generation and getting, you're just doing it all. You're doing it all. And then when it's time to actually take that idea and formulate it and create a business, we're going to generate revenue from this. Now you've become a small business, in a sense. But for me, I like a good quote. And I used to not, this is horrible language. English, the way I'm going to say this. In the past, I would not call my friends, I'm going to rephrase that. I would not call anybody and tell them I'm going through a depression state, because I actually live with depression. And I wouldn't tell them that I'm feeling this way about my company because of vulnerability. I didn't want to be judged. Now, my ass will tell our entire 5,000 person community inside of Facebook, and I will call my sisters, I don't have sisters, but I mean my sisters, and say this is how I'm feeling, and I don't know why, and can I get help? There is something about women that we carry so much on our shoulders and so much. We're caregiving on both ends of the spectrum, and we're not taking care of ourselves. And when we're ready, we're not sharing it and ready to actually say, I need help. Ask for help. There is power in that. I'm actually about to tear, and I've got my lashes on today.
There's power in being the one that helps others.
It helps others.
It makes me feel good if I can make her feel good.
Yeah, like I'll send a message, you know.
Okay, so here's a question. How many of you have trouble accepting the help?
Great question.
Yeah.
Can you tell one or two of you tell us why? Natalie, you want to say why? And you've been through a lot.
Oh my gosh, I have.
You
Yeah.
promised people in the front row you wouldn't do
I
this,
sure
Barbara.
did.
It's,
Oopsie.
I've always done everything on my own since I was little. And so in empowering that and knowing where I've come and where I'm going, I don't need you. I can do it myself.
Right.
So when I do have
Probably why we're
that,
still
or
single.
I don't do it the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the glasses don't go in the dishwasher that way. So like, if you can't do the dishwasher, you're not going to do my business. So it's one of those things where
Somebody said, yep. Yep.
it's, you know what I mean? Like I have therapists, sorry. I was at Home Depot one day and I was carrying 2x4s in the cart and my wallet fell. And this man came, he was like, "Can I get that for you?" I was like, "No." And my therapist like, she's like, "When you drop something, let them help you pick it up." And I remember I said no and I looked and I went, "Yes."
Yeah.
And the guy was so confused and I was out of my car and I had to stop myself and be like, "Yes,
Yeah.
I got my wallet."
Well, who else in the room? Who would like to share? Yeah. Do you want to stand up, by the way, since you're not in the front row? Love the color green, by the way.
Yeah, so it's a trauma response, and we get used to protecting ourselves because we've been harmed, because we've been hurt, because we've trusted people that have let us down. That we're like, you know what? I'm not trusting anybody anymore. I'm going to do it myself because I'm not going to let myself down.
Yes, yes. And I love what you all are saying and what we're saying on stage too, because there will be times where you're going to doubt yourself, as we said a moment ago, inside of the company that you've either already built or the one that you're looking to build to solve the major problem that you're looking to solve. Know that is okay, again, to call on those people, ask for the help, and obviously you can Google 100% of everything as well when you're doing, when you need help in various areas. But yeah, lean on each other. I think it's really important to do that. We're headed into the last topic here, and then we're going to open it up to more conversation because that's how we roll. I want to talk about tips, because you all might have some things too. I want to talk about tips and secret weapons. Catherine, it sounds like you have a secret weapon starting at 50 in tech where it's probably, it's bro culture. So what's your secret weapon?
Such bro culture in the industry that I'm in, actually, as well. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
my secret weapon, honestly, is to trust myself. That's my secret weapon. And it's not always easy to do. To remind myself that it doesn't matter what happens right now, I can trust myself to manage it because I'm smart, I'm capable, and I can trust myself. That's my real secret weapon.
Okay, I love that because that's a secret weapon we all have innately in us. What about you? Because you started, you launched it in your 60s. And on a taboo subject of this ism that is out there. I know you hate it when people, I learned that we're not supposed to say it's one of the only isms left.
It is not the only ism. Racism and
Besides
sexism
ableism.
and other isms are real. Okay.
Yeah. Yep,
So I
yep,
hate
yep.
it when people say ageism is the last ism. But
That's addressed
me.
in the DE&I initiatives. Sadly, that ism is not addressed as much.
it is not, right?
So let's talk about,
We're not going to go down in this direction. I'll jump up to the microphone and start pounding. Okay.
right? Let's talk about launching. What tips do you have for someone at any age, really? I mean, what are...
Okay. So I feel so strongly about these tips. I actually created a handout that, and there should be some on the back of the room, but it's kind of my ABCs of starting something in later life. And the first thing, and this is so the A, this to me is so important, it's critical, is to create, how many people have heard about bucket list? We want to create the anti-bucket list.
Okay, I was going to say, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
I don't call it a bucket list. Like
Okay.
you don't like. Who who the fuck wants to think about dying while you're doing something fun?
Right.
You're calling it a bucket list.
Right.
I call it a live life list.
Okay. I totally
Live life list.
live life, live life. But we're going to go to the anti-bucket list. This is a stage of our life where we need to say, what do I never ever want to do again? I never want to manage people. I never want to deal with someone who doesn't respect me. I never want to deal with, so for me and Bonnie, I need to talk with you. I suck at scheduling and all administrative tasks. I never ever want to do that again. So literally, and I've got instructions, just think about the things you never ever want to do again in your life. Write them down, create that anti-bucket list, and as you are vetting, whether it's an opportunity or a client in your current business, start crossing those off and think about, how can I make sure that nothing that I'm doing is on my anti-bucket list? The second thing is, this is the time of our life that if we're not going to focus on our brilliance, so the B is for brilliance, and all of us have that certain core strength, brilliance, talent, whatever you want to call it, but we need to identify that, and that's what our next stage business should be about. It shouldn't be just, well, I think the market needs this, and somebody told me I would be good at this. It's like, figure out what you absolutely love doing, what you're passionate about, and what you're good at. Now, the only caveat to that is you will also want to make sure it's something that people will pay you to do.
Yeah.
So I started a side hustle, I don't know, about 15 years ago, because I loved recycling and taking recycled cashmere sweaters and turning them into these kind of wall hangings and quilts. And so I entered a craft, and I was passionate about it. I was good at it. I went to a craft fair, I sold out by noon, and then I looked at the amount of money I made, and I was like, well, this won't pay my mortgage or half or anything else. So, you want to do those intersecting circles of something that you absolutely love, something that you are good at, and also something that, if money is important to you at this life stage, that you can make money at. The third thing, and I've got this little cheat sheet, and this goes to, it's not just about asking for help. One of the things that I've discovered, the way we scale changing the narrative so that in short 5 years, it moved from being a really small initiative in Colorado to reaching people in all 50 states in the US and 43 countries outside, was literally mapping connections. We thought, okay, we're going to need media coverage. Who do we know in media? Who can help us with that? Who do we know that cares about social change? I had run my previous consulting firm was in the social change business, if you will. So I knew a lot of people, and I was like, okay, you probably don't care about ageism. You probably don't know what it is, but I will come and talk to you about it. So it's like mapping who you know that can help you get to that destination. So I call it the ABCs. I think but the most important one to me is, at this life stage, none of us should be doing things we hate doing that make us think when we get up in the morning, oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this, right? So if there's one thing that you do when you leave today, take these instructions on how to develop an anti-bucket list. Doesn't take long. Do that first. Hold it by your side. Put it in your journal, whatever. Consult it every day.
Right? One of the things that I recommend doing, so I'm going to put the business hat on. We all come from corporate, or probably, 95% of this room. When you start your company, or if you haven't already, what is your revenue model? Who is your customer? Who's the customer? So what's the customer persona? The revenue model, the marketing strategies, the forecasting of how much money you're going to make. We all had to do budgeting, and some of us in our jobs, even in marketing, I had, $1 million budget, and I had to sit and say, okay, well, 30% of that is for the holiday, for Santa, real bearded Santa, and then the rest, is spent throughout the year. So, make sure that you're taking a step back and doing the work, because the stuff that you might be doing now might be the fun stuff. But the things that will make your company sustainable is doing kind of the hard stuff, the budgeting, the forecasting, those kinds of things. So branding, marketing, don't do it on your own. Canva is your best friend. This is what I'm using today, and I will train anybody in this room.
And can I just add, because If you know you are terrible at that, I want to
Yeah.
go back to the anti-bucket list. If you know that budgeting isn't your thing or marketing isn't your thing, figure out someone else who can help you do that. Because the quickest way to kill a business or starting it up is to spend your time doing on the stuff that somebody else can do and that you hate doing. So
Absolutely.
just putting that out there.
We did that. So my company is a pro-age. We're fighting against ageism too, and so we're one of our a couple of our revenue streams, so you know, is membership. So it's $149 a year. We also have sponsorships of our major conferences. It's the ticket sales of our major conferences, and then brand deals. And then I'm also a public speaker, and I'm making anywhere from $3K and up now for an hour. And I'm saying the number because y'all need to know, we need to share it, because I shared it with somebody else and they said that was too low. So we need to also, money was something that we don't talk enough about, and men will talk about it in a heartbeat. Y'all, if you want to replace, I'm not from Texas, my parents are. If you want to replace, I don't know why I said y'all. If you want to replace that corporate income, get serious about the things that I just said. Because I spent 3 years in Second Act Women with a business partner who I love, who decided to do her own second act, trying to figure out, we were getting press, we were doing this, we were doing it all. And then we decided we had to go to the professionals and go to people, that right there, by the way, the climb, oh my gosh, okay, I was behind there, never mind. That was my squirrel moment, I have ADHD. They were my client, Jake Jabs, and we did the rebranding, by the way, of their of something they did. Yeah. So, any other advice?
Can I tell you my little later secret weapon?
Yes.
So, because I'm older, again, been through it all, I chose to make this a happy journey, and it was not going to be intense and having to work for somebody else. And I pulled upon what I knew has always worked for me in the past, and it's humor. It's my sense of humor. And being able to laugh at myself when I do something wrong. And with my team, I think they appreciate that. I'm like, okay, this didn't work out right, but, that her shirt looks horrible. Whatever I want to say to them, and this bring out something funny. It de-escalates the situation, and I wanted to start my company to be a company that I would have wanted to work for. Yeah. And I had been through the BS that had been thrown at me in the past, and so that has really been a secret weapon in keeping quality people on my team and keeping the clients that I want to work with on the books. So.
We're one of our clients. All right, so being an entrepreneur, it's 24/7, especially at the beginning, or at least it feels like it. There are going to be a lot of sleepless nights. I find it funny. Sometimes I go to our Facebook community that we have, and somebody, if it's not me, somebody from around the world will be up at 2 a.m. I'm up. Anybody else up? And sure enough, it lights up with people that are up in the middle of the night, and they're always entrepreneurs. And so a lot of times, especially starting the company, and I didn't learn this until now, 5 years in, to take better care of ourselves. And so I would love to know, what are your routines or what are you doing to make time? And don't tell us about the calendar blocking and all those things that we could see on YouTube. Give us something, love you. So give us something tangible that you do to make sure you are spending time with you, not your family, you. You are taking care of you. Do you want to start?
I'm going to time block. No,
I time block too, I'm not going to lie.
No, I think that's so I do absolutely no meeting Mondays. I write and think, I walk, whatever, but I can't, I've got to kind of start the week right, and I can't do it if I've got a bunch of random incoming because people have decided they want to meet with me. I don't care. So never call me and want to meet on a Monday. I block off Fridays to either follow up from the week or to start the weekend early. What's that? Yeah,
Right.
The
whole front row. Yep.
That is such a Colorado thing too. We have a lot of clients on the East Coast, and they're like, "What do you mean you don't want to meet on Friday?" I'm like, I'm based in Colorado. We don't meet on Fridays.
Especially where you live. Hello.
Especially where I live, right? It's like the mountains, here we come. But no, the other thing, routines. I have coffee every morning. I write 3 pages. It's Julia Cameron's idea of morning pages. I write 3 pages just to clear my head, get everything out. I check the New York Times to see if the person who will not be named is in jail yet. And then I
Girl, I can't wait.
That would greatly add to my self-care. Apologies to anyone in the room that offends. I have 2 daughters and a grandson. I want to know that democracy will live. And I also think it's important for entrepreneurship. And no, and then I, check my priorities for the day, and that's it. And when I've done my top 3 things of the day, I stop.
Love it.
I don't, if other things
Love
don't
it.
get done,
'Cause we'll
I
keep
do
going.
not care.
Yeah, we'll keep going. What about you, Catherine?
Yeah, I'm definitely the worst at. I keep going. I just keep going 24/7. My routine is in the morning. I stopped looking at the news. I used to watch the news. I love Gayle King. I just love her. I would tune in. I would read through my little Apple subscription news thing, and I stopped doing it. And instead, I do a Calm app meditation, 10 minutes, and then I write. And it has changed everything for me. It changed my perspective on my day. It set me out on the right foot, where I'm in a mental space where I feel calm and I feel strong. And when I would read the news and watch the news, I didn't feel that way. I felt like the whole world is crumbling around me. Oh my gosh. And you're in this almost panic mode, and there's no way it can't permeate. So I now do that in the morning, and that sets my energy for the day. And then I go run when I'm like frustrated. I just get out of the house and run and play with my little 5-pound puppy, who is her 5-pound puppy's
Best
friend.
friends. We used to work in the same co-working space pre-COVID. Oh my God! And then during COVID, when we would be masked up, and it was you and I in the office on 6 days a week.
Little
Puppies are
dogs
just
running
doing their
around.
thing.
It was
I
the
miss
best. That's self-care, though, right? That
Yes.
was self-care for us when the world's falling apart around us, and we were able to at least come in and have some joy. You have to have joy in your life. You have to. And I didn't say this before. My co-founder is my husband. Now, that was really a lot for me, and I can tell you it's actually strengthened our marriage. But it is really, really hard sometimes to not go down that, oh my gosh, we have no joy. He's working 24/7, I'm working 24/7. Find that joy. I don't care what it takes. Go see a movie in the middle of the day. Go do something that makes you smile. Get an ice cream cone and sit on the curb. I mean, how fun. We used to do that when we were kids, right?
Yes. That and jump rope and hopscotch.
There you go. Did you bring the jump rope?
No, oh my God, I would
next time.
break a leg.
No, you wouldn't.
I do the
What
same
about
as
you,
Janine.
Bonnie?
I do the same. The Monday, no meeting Monday. Absolutely not.
You sure do, because I tried to get a
'Cause you
meeting to
tried-
you, and I was
you're
like,
like,
this
nope.
girl told me no. All right.
I used to get
I
the
love it.
with corporate so long. I got the Sunday nights, by 4:00 on Sunday afternoon, and I was just not going to start my week like that anymore. My day is coffee when I sit down at 8 a.m. at my desk and turn on the Facebook news. Scroll. Look at any emails and flag them for later in the day. I'm in a cohort right now, in a masterclass kind of cohort thing so I just started journaling. I've never been a journaler at all. I wrote so much as a quote secretary for so many years. I'm done writing. I have Post-it notes still everywhere, but I'm just starting to learn how to journal a bit more.
Good.
I really have boundaries set, which is something I always preach to my clients as far as reaching me outside of my business hours. You cannot reach me. You cannot call me randomly. And that's a choice I made. Other business owners take calls, but I'm very scheduled. I do block time, and I'm very scheduled. And I literally changed my voicemail to not say my name anymore, and it's my personal cell phone. Hi, you've reached Tandem Resource Solutions. If you had a call with Bonnie and she's not picking up, then email her at this, that kind of thing. But then, kind of fun at the end of the day, I recently started. TikTok made me buy it. The infinity hoop, right? So it's infinity hooping at the end of the day, and then it's couch time.
Good old couch time.
Couch
Real
time.
wipes.
Most of the time. The infinity
Can
hoop's
I-
real fun.
So
Can I say something about the journaling? So somebody told me once, you really need to journal. That's really important. And that felt like a heavy thing. Like,
Yeah, it did.
that's one more thing I have to do.
Yeah.
I have enough to do, right? And then I realized it doesn't have to be this big, long thing. You could sit down and write one sentence. If that's all that is coming from you, that's great. If it's 2 sentences, that's great. Break it down into chunks that work for you. This should not be one more thing you add to your to-do list.
So one of the things that I do is I'm similar, and I don't know why I didn't come up with this earlier on, is I do the same. Wednesdays are my meeting days because I was not getting work done because I was taking calls. I was responding to emails constantly. And I admit it because I just learned that I had, although all my friends knew it, that I have ADHD. And so it's very easy for me to get squirrel moments. Me and a client actually pass the squirrel back to each other when we have those moments. So Wednesdays are my days so that I know that on Wednesdays, all day, 3 to 4 meetings, that doesn't take me off my game of doing deep work. On the other days, Fridays are my administrative CEO task days. So make sure, go to YouTube and just Google CEO days or CEO task days, because you are the CEO of your company. Now you're also the operational officer and everything else. But I also wanted to give a couple of tools before we go into Q&A, and I'm going to ask that really great question at the end. Loom is your friend. So if you have, depending on your business, it's a great video tool for you to actually be able to just record versus using StreamYard or YouTube, although I use StreamYard for other purposes. But Loom, you could just do a quick instructional video, a little 5-minute or less video, literally pop it in. You could do screen share, pop it in and send it off to your client versus going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with email, especially if you don't want to get on the phone, because then you'll be, scope creep will come up and next thing you know, you're on the phone forever to the client. So Loom is great. Obviously Canva. There is Canva School inside of Canva. A lot of people don't know. You can actually, on one of the tabs, go in and learn how to do all of these capabilities, which you're going to see another one. There's a lot of other things that I do in presentations, but we're going to do something fun at the ending with Canva. And then lastly, Google Workspace. Now, I'm only paying $23 a month for Google Workspace, and it's my chat, so it replaced my Slack. It's communicating with teams. I do Google Voice, so that comes through there. So I created a new phone number for Second Act Women. So that comes through my personal phone, but it's through Google Voice. I also use Workspace and I'm a Microsoft girl, but I'm now into Google Docs and all of that. If you go into Docs and you have Google Workspace, you upgrade, you can actually assign tasks. You can create checklists inside of Docs if you didn't know that. Literally, it's got a little box. You click on it where the bullets are. There's a new one. You click it and next to whatever that task is, you create a list and you can assign things to people. So I wanted to give you those tips because I think those are really, for having a business, those are really great things to know. This is the big question. When I get down, this is my hand and my bracelet about at Target, the Red Circle Boutique. And I love this bracelet, and surprisingly, it hasn't faded, and it says never give up. I actually have a saying that I say, get up, dress up, and show up, and never, ever give up. So I want to ask these ladies before we open it up to questions, and make it really, really, really brief, because I do want to open it up for questions, you know how everybody always tells you, we do a lot of podcast interviews, and you will too, trust me if you haven't already, and inevitably they'll ask you, what would you tell your younger self? Like that. I've already done my younger self, so I'm not going to tell my younger self anything, because I got to where I am today because of all the mistakes and the things that I did, and the great stuff. So I want to know, what would you tell your future self? Janine?
Here's what I'm telling my future self right now as I start yet another company at age 70. It's not too late. Dreams don't have an expiration date.
Boom. Women don't expire. Hashtag. Catherine, what's yours? Or Bonnie?
I would just say you did this thing, Miss Poser. You sold this business. Now go have fun and travel.
Love it. Catherine?
That's really what I was thinking. Look at you. You did it. You did it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Same. You did it, girl. All right, let's open it up for questions. Woohoo! What questions do we have? Yes.
Where are you hosting your Loom videos out of?
So you download the application. There's free version, and then and you just upload the platform. You can upload it to any device. Obviously, I use my desktop for it, and you literally just click it, and it'll give you the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next thing you know, or 3, 2, 1, and then you're recording your video, and it'll instruct you to literally, it'll say share the whole screen, kind of like when you're doing Zoom. You could choose what screen. It's the easiest thing.
What I love
Get
is
in and play around with it. So simple. Loom,
I love that it eliminates meetings.
L-O-O-M.
Eliminates meetings and trainings.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do it once and then you keep sending it out to multiple people.
Yeah.
Like, where does it sit? It lives in Loom. Like, you have to sign in to access it.
You do, and just keep it open. The little Loom button, if you want it to, will just stay there on your desktop and follow you if you want it. But yeah, it saves so much time, I'm telling you. Yeah, what other? Oh, and StreamYard, by the way, if you're doing video, they just started something new where instead of going in and having to edit your videos or re-record the whole thing, you can now pause and go again if you make a mistake. So you can actually do more of your recording inside of StreamYard. They have new capabilities, which I think is kind of neat, versus editing your video, which is a lot. Yeah.
So sorry. So this seems really cool. This little group that we have of women over 40 entrepreneurs in Denver. Like, do we only get together once a year?
Oh no, honey, I got news for you.
How does that work? Like, how do we get together more often? We need this community to happen more regularly. Go.
So you know what I love? I get so Second Act
You
Women
planted
itself.
that question,
I
didn't
played
you, Barbara?
right into that. I love it.
That was a plan.
Because
That was a plan.
we do. I know we do so much. By the way, you can get this. Go ahead and get a screen grab, and I will send you this customer persona map, and then I'm going to explain why you're doing that. We have Second Act Women. We're all about development events and conferences, workshops, and sessions that are led by women that are professionals that's their wheelhouse. Their expertise is online, creating an online store, whatever it may be. And these women are inside of Second Act Women. So we host a variety of conferences and events. Go to secondactwomen.com, which is what this is going to take you to. And you can join the membership or get inside of the Facebook community. It's global, of over 5,000. You'll learn we have cocktails and conversations at the Clayton which is happening next Thursday, where we have deep conversations. We get really real with people. And then we have dinner after. It's about 40, 50 people. We have my conference that's coming up called Biz LifeCon. It's the 6th one. Look at Bonnie in the middle. That's where we met. That's Denver Startup Week 2019 when we met. This is a conference specifically for the small business owner. Anyone can come, but we do focus on 30% menopause, mental health. We'll be talking real stuff. We have coaches, business coaches, life coaches, and then 70% of it, we have 18 mini master classes, from learning to create a podcast from the Podcast Allies. She's world-renowned. Elaine, to branding, to, all kinds of things. Go to Second Act Women and pull up the entire schedule. We have Michael Beavis from the City and County of Denver who's going to be there. We have Weil, which is a company coming in from Minnesota, by the way, who did a deal with Serena Williams Ventures. She's our keynote, not Serena. Y'all, I wish. But Weil, the company itself, is coming in, and they are a women's wellness company for women over 40. So we do this all the time in answer to your question, and this is my jam because I am single, and this is how I get my...
So don't forget the social part.
And we do socials. We're doing rooftop dinner at a friend's house this Thursday. We do a lot because we recognize that we don't have these spaces, enough of these spaces, which is how the company came to be.
So it's community that you're building.
It's community.
And when I said earlier, find your posse, this is a really good place to start if you're not part of Second Act Women.
Okay, can I get at least 1 or 2 wins in the room? Aaron, no, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a win.
Make it a win. We want to in on some wins, and then we got some fun stuff at the end.
So I love this panel of ladies, and what I have learned from you has literally been life-changing. And I graduated last year in this room with my MBA.
Woo!
42. And when I started my MBA
Huh?
And I had breakfast yesterday with a new colleague who told me, and she's 15 years older than me, and she told me that when she went back to get her MBA and she was 28, she was told she was too old. So I was like, I'm going to this conference tomorrow. We are talking about this.
Yeah.
And before I met this group of women, I'd never heard that before. I'd never had this feedback before. So not that I thought it was just me, but I was like, oh, wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know? And so having this conversation and building this community of women who we can support each other and we can talk about how it's bullshit.
That's right.
Too old and too young all of the time.
Yes.
It's literally life-changing.
Oh,
Like,
that
I feel
makes our
so
day.
strong in knowing
Thank
that
you.
it's not me.
No, it's not. And what I like to say, yes, what I like to say is never let somebody, by the way, say, oh, you look good for your age. That's a backhanded compliment. By the way, as we said in the video, I don't want to be 25 again, do you? 56 is the new 56. This is what it looks like. Short skirt and boots and all, or not. This is 56. This is 70 what? 70.
Round number.
This is 70. 70 is the new 70. So this is what we look like today. It's not Golden Girls as much as I love the Golden Girls. Or Molly Shannon when she's doing, I'm 50. And she's kicking her leg, from that, I can stretch it. She's got, okay, it's a Saturday night thing. Saturday Night Live thing. Anyway, any parting words before we leave? Because I guess is there any more wins? Win and, yes.
You sparked something in me, and I started my business
Whoop, 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 whoop.
things that I've helped people do, and I do a lot of consulting work, is something called money scripting, and you talked about how much you think you're worth an hour or what you can get. So part of this is, I think that's one of the biggest challenges I think people have is your beliefs about money and what you think you're worth. You're only going to earn what you think you deserve.
That's right.
So if you can, you struggle with that, that's something you need to really work on. That's actually one of the biggest struggles people have when they first get started.
That's right.
How do I get that money?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you
Boom.
for bringing that up. And here's the other thing that I've learned in doing 35 plus years of consulting before I started this business. You just need to think of numbers that you think are unimaginable, and somebody is going to say no, and double it. And then just say really calmly, this is what it is.
And stop.
And then stop and stop talking.
Don't justify it.
Don't justify it. Don't do any of those things. This is really important as we get older because there's also part of ageism is a thing that women should be paid less and that older women should simply be grateful to be paid anything at all, right? Volunteerism, all older women and that kind of thing. And it's nuts. And so we just need to say, I have earned this wisdom and insight that I am going to bring to you.
Boom.
And then name your number.
So we're going to end it with some confetti. We want to say thank you guys for coming. If you push D, there's a drum roll for all the ladies. All the ladies, drum roll that you can and you will do it.